Hello and welcome everyone to the first broadcast of the first ever Student StarCraft AI Tournament Bot Author Brood War Exhibition Series, or more simply, the SSCAIT Babes. This is an ongoing open sign-up tournament for StarCraft AI creators with a simple twist. Instead of having their AIs facing off against each other, the bot authors themselves are going to be fighting against each other 1v1 in a tournament structure. The goal of this was to encourage bot authors to try a hand at playing the game themselves. It may come as a surprise to many of you, but many of the authors behind some of the strongest AIs have almost zero experience playing against other human beings. It was also done out of curiosity to see how bot authors would play. Would they try to emulate the way that their creations play? Would they try to emulate someone else who's more successful? So on and so forth. There were 12 entrants, with 4 of them being randomly seeded directly into the second round. Today we'll be covering just round 1 matches, and we'll be covering one game from each of the series. The winners series in this tournament are all best of 3. Losers rounds are all best of 1 until the finals of both sides of the bracket. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. First game is going to be TSC Mu versus Qatari, and it is going to be a Terran vs Zerg matchup on Fighting Spirit. So another thing about this tournament is that the maps were assigned ahead of time for each of the rounds. Players had 1 week to prepare and coordinate when they would like to start playing. Let's remove that replay bar real quick. So at the top left, we have TSC Mu spawning as the olive-colored Terran. And at the bottom right, we have ZZZK Human, aka Qatari, spawning as the green Zerg. Now, Fighting Spirit, cross-map positions. In this situation, the natural could be a little bit exposed. Let me see if I can bring that up to you. I forgot how to do this in, what's it called? In Remastered. I can't, can I? Can I? Well, you live and you learn. Once we see it, I'll be able to explain it a little bit better, but the minerals out here are slightly exposed to Mutalisk, but not that badly. It is a decent position for Mutalisk harassment to come in to, as opposed to, for example, this position where the Mutalisks have to cross the middle of the map in order to engage this way. Immediately we see an early drone going out, and this is a situation where I think the bot author is clearly emulating the play of an AI with an early scout, even before the spawning pool, it should be noted. An early drone scout of this nature is quite uncommon in ZVT. Generally, it is the Terran that has to scout early in order to find the opponent and determine what is the threat level, how early is the spawning pool. On top of that, we also see TSC Mu adding a supply depot into the location of where normally you would want to see a little bit of space made just for the sake of having a comstat station later on in the game that might come back to bite them if lurkers make a play. Barracks is coming down now though. In the meantime, ZZZK Human aka Qatari is going out for their 12 hatch at this point, slightly delayed by the fact that they sent out such an early scouting drone, but due to the nature of AI competitions, I think there might be some sense behind this given the fact that early information is the key to winning a lot of AI versus AI matchups. The ability to react to what your opponent is doing. In this case, it looks like the drone is going to make it into the main base, but will it see the fact that there's gas being mined? It looks like at this distance it should see the mining SCVs, should be informed of the fact that a likely mech or early push follow-up is coming in. Or could this drone be actually used for something a little bit sneakier than that? A proxy hatchery would be an interesting play in this situation, but doesn't seem to be the case. The SCV, nope, it is placing down a factory. I like the fact that the drone stuck around to confirm the placement of the factory. Looks like 2 SCVs have gone off of gas as well. This seems to be a planned build order indeed. There's most likely not going to be a starport follow-up coming in after this. It looks like there is going to be maybe at least 1 vulture produced on top of the marines and medics that are supposed to come out. Meanwhile, look at Qatari here at the bottom right. We see a 3rd hatchery and a spawning pool. 3rd hatchery is a little bit of an odd placement here. Generally for humans you would want to place it maybe somewhere here in ZVT or somewhere here, just because of the fact that you can split your tech up. So what that means is a Terran may have 2 scanners up, 1 in their main, 1 in their natural. They will use 1 scan on the main base most likely to check for tech. The second scan might go to the natural, or it actually might go to here, but you kind of increase the chances of them not finding out if you're going for Mutalisks or Hydralisks. So In this case, the Overlords are going to what seems to be the proper scouting locations. One Overlord here next to the bridge, one Overlord here over by the third base would give plenty of information to the Zerg player about what is coming out of here. In the meantime, we're actually seeing the machine shop added on, so maybe this is for speed, if there's going to be a vulture run by, or it could be also for siege mode, if there's intent to do an early push of some sort. But, oh, it's actually going to be for spider mines to get some map control. Interesting approach. Behind this, we're not yet seeing a layer. We did see some delay on taking the gas earlier on in the game from Qatari. This is indeed a very difficult game to get your bearings in. First few Zerglings are out now, could be used for scouting. The SCV is being used for a similar purpose. I would have liked to see a response to the factory being at least one sunken colony to help defend against the vultures that are likely to come out. Marine count is still climbing though. It's actually going to be a siege tank first. Interesting choice here. Spider Mine's just now going to be finishing up in time for the second tank, which is an interesting situation to be in. Not quite sure what to make of these build orders, but this is the first round. I heard that some players started practicing a lot more going forward in the tournament, so maybe we'll see some interesting things here. And ooh, I like this sneaky bunker placement. Yes, it can be seen by Qatari here, but I'm not sure if there's going to be a reaction quite yet. A bunker definitely needs to be placed here. I like the choice of placing the layer in the natural. The layer is going to have more health than a hatchery would once it completes. In the meantime, one Zergling here is going to scout the advancement of a 7 Marine 2 tank push, which is quite interesting. It's very 2001-ish of a play, I think. It's very similar to the way that old-style ZVTs would manifest, and old-style BW in general. First Vulture is now out. It has mines, and I think it's no speed yet. The bunker is kind of out of range of being able to do anything, but it will be able to protect the siege tanks that are going to be able to hammer down on these sunken colonies. I like the fact that the sunken colonies are coming up just now. The timing is almost perfect for the arrival of the enemy units here. So even though siege mode should be done by now, let's see if the placement's right. The Zerglings are tempted to run in. Wait, what happened to the sound? There we go. Alright, I don't know why I didn't hear that. So mines being placed to protect the bunker and to prevent any sort of run-by. Interesting choice. Definitely a strategic approach. Maybe I would have preferred to see the mines spread out a little bit more, like one here, one here, one here, just so that one Zergling can't trigger all three of them easily. But in the meantime, more sunken colonies are being thrown down. Let's see what the option was with the layer tech. It is going to be a spire. The spire is going to be a little bit too late. In this case, maybe it might make sense to make progressively backwards sunkens, buying time to get to that mutalisk count. We do have 900 gas, but because of the investment into those sunken colonies, we're not going to get a significant number of mutalisks out in time. And actually now with all the sunken colonies having fallen, I'm not sure if there's going to be enough here to defend. No, the army from TSCMU intelligently pulling back, picking off some stray Zerglings here. Looks like the first mutalisks are coming out, but the drones haven't been pulled yet. I would rather wait until there's a coordinated effort between all of the army, but the Zerglings run by, they get taken down by the Marines and medics. The first Vultures as well are going to be able to start picking up drones. Drones are just now mineral walking back to the main base. Mutalisks are coming out slowly but surely. It could be enough to hold this, but will the layer stand? That is the big question right now. 3 Mutalisks come out here and they take a lot of damage right off the bat. One of them goes down. The rest of the Mutalisks need to support immediately. But the Mutalisks decide not to engage the Marines, and Siege Tank and Vultures are going to stay here. And they actually take down one of the tanks back here, but ooh, the Vulture is actually back here as well in the mineral line, applying pressure there. And it's safe to say that TSCMU is in a strong position, but the layer is still actually alive, just now refocusing on it. The Mutalisks can engage against this army now, I think, but is it too little, too late? They're stacking up prematurely. Oh, don't abandon the position. Is going to focus it down in the end, and that was a great play. And this is one of the dangers of putting your layer in your natural base, because now your tech is one step behind. Even if you do have the spire, you're sort of forced into it. You will not be able to make the hydralisks, the lurkers that are your other option. You won't be able to go to hive quickly enough. Staying inside of the bunker range, interestingly enough here, using the Overlord though to snipe the mines, which is a great play. Behind this, TSCMU did take its natural. His natural, sorry, got too used to casting AI here, is actually adding factories, which is an interesting choice. There's no anti-air here. I think a counterattack could actually be really effective here for Qatari. Flying right into the main base could do a significant amount of damage here, but no, choosing to engage. There are some Marines here, no stim, no range, most likely, I believe. Is going to start pushing into the main base. Some Zerglings are probably not going to be enough to hold this, so maybe using this opportunity to sandwich the army and then going back into the main base could be an option here. I do think that Qatari still has a way back into this game, and yes, this is a moment right here. Let me see. Yeah, this is the moment right here. So these Zerglings can definitely pick off any reinforcements. The Mutalisks can fly into the main base and do significant amounts of damage. I think this bunker is empty. The mine is going to do a lot of damage. No, actually got picked off by the attack move from the Zerglings here. Mutalisks are going to start flying into the main base. Are we going to see any turrets here? No, I don't think that there's an engineering bay. It's just now coming up in the natural. One bunker at the front, again blocking the comsat scanner. Can you believe if the layer was still up? Yeah, and if we were going into lurkers right now, there would be big danger for Qatari here. I'm sorry, for TSCMU. Mutalisks are now in on the middle line. They are going to have a free reign of killing the SCVs. And could we see a swing here? This could be an interesting moment right here. A lot of SCVs going down, but the economy has been stronger for quite some time. Zerglings coming into the natural as well, but just a few of them. Not quite enough of them yet, and the Goliaths do have range. The count is not high enough. I feel like these Mutalisks can freely engage against these two Goliaths and continue their reign of terror in the main base of TSCMU, who's down to 8 workers, by the way. Behind this, what I really would like to see Qatari doing is taking the expansion back again. Looks like some accidental Scourge were made, and more SCVs are going down. Still down to 8 numbers, but now that the Goliath count is climbing, the Mutalisk count is down to 7 here, and they're all very injured. These extra Zerglings could make the difference though, but you still want to maintain the amount of the Mutalisks that we have here. Zerglings are going to come in right in and are going to pull some of the fire away from the Mutalisks. They're going to not fare that well against the Goliaths, but they could have provided some cover fire. Mutalisks are still trying to engage. There is one Goliath here. Would have maybe liked to see more Mutalisks being produced at this time. Qatari up to 700 gas now, and is in danger of losing the entire Mutalisk force, but the economic damage has technically been done already. Might be a time to pull back and focus on the economy. What a swingy game we have here for our first game in the tournament. This is exactly what you like to see in lower level Brood War. I hope no one's offended by that, but it just goes to show that this game is incredibly hard, and it's incredibly easy for things to swing one way and back if you're not adequately prepared. I think that TSCMU was hoping to end it all with that one push, but perhaps a little bit slow on getting inside the main base. A little bit over-invested. It's taken out that layer for a little bit there. Zerglings still are not going to fare that great against the Goliaths, but there are some potential pickoffs here. With this number of Zerglings, I can easily say that at least 2 Goliaths could go down. The other 2 could at least be injured, and maybe actually they could go down as well. I'm not sure yet. Some other Zerglings are being used to scout the map. Nicely done. One being sent here to the natural to scout there. And some others all around the map to make sure there's no further expansions, but at this point in time, it should be noted that an expansion is unlikely given the fact that they were only at 16 workers. But on top of that, TSCMU is catching up in the worker count despite being down to only 8 workers just a moment ago. We're seeing a little bit of maybe a macro issues here for our Qatari player here because of the fact that he had to lose that hatchery in the natural. He's adding another one here and here, taking the 3rd base right away, and actually taking a sneak base here at 12 o'clock. I kind of like that move. The Zerglings do get taken down by the Goliaths here. It's time to scramble up some defenses. I would have maybe liked to see a transition into Hydralisks behind this. Hydralisks do fare quite nicely against Goliaths in mass, and they're easier to mass than Goliaths. 3 factory Goliath production is going to be online as soon as the SCV count climbs back up. Nicely done by TSCMU to get the attack upgrade started, and also to take SCVs off of gas for now just to get the economy back up and going. And I was just about to say, you need to put them back on soonish. Here they first come. Only 2 Mutalisks out. Zerglings are trying to run out here this way. I don't think that there's enough here to hold this. I think that Qatari... Oh my god, is he going for a backstab? Oh boy, this is ballsy. This is ballsy, trying to force the army from TSCMU to run back, but with this small amount of Zerglings, only a couple of Goliaths should be enough to take care of it. In the meantime, the natural is going to go down again, and with just Zerglings, I don't think that this is going to be something that can be held. There is a Hydralisk Den up on the map. There is a Hive coming up, but it might be too little too late. The production just isn't there, and already a lot of drones lost. I think maybe those is because those were spent on building, building buildings. Now the drones are going to start going down in mass. These looked like they're, oh, I thought there might have been Mutalisks. Wouldn't have made much of a difference though. Drone count now down to 4 for Qatari, and man, how the turntables in this series. And this was game 1 from that series, and in the end, TSUMU did close out the series against Qatari to be the first winner in round 1. And that was a great game to get us started. Let's move on to the next game. Next game we'll have Insanity Spreader against Lines Per Hour. That's going to be an interesting match as well, I'm sure. I believe it was also the first game. I'll be able to tell you in a second. Yes, it was game 1 between Insanity Spreader and Lines Per Hour, so it was also on Fighting Spirit. Now, some of these AI authors, they decide to play the full 3 games regardless of win or loss, so some of the scores were technically like 3-0 in the best of 3, but you know, that's all well and good. I would rather people play more rather than less. At the top right, we have Lines Per Hour. The creator of Monster is opting to play Protoss here as the red Protoss, and Insanity Spreader playing as the blue Terran, spawning at the top left of Fighting Spirit. So this matchup, a little bit an interesting one. One thing that Terran does have the advantage of doing is that you can actually push, as you're pushing the Protoss with a 2-base push, you can take the 3rd at the 12 o'clock position. The Protoss, though, is also capable of safely taking their natural 3rd as well. So I think that these are pretty fair spawns, generally speaking. The first depot here, though, I think might be problematic. I think it's supposed to be one more unit over to the right. I think that a Zealot can squeeze by here, but I'm not 100% sure. It's hard to tell with the HD graphics for me a little bit. Excuse me. 2 gateways coming up for Lines Per Hour. Very interesting choice. Perhaps assuming that Insanity Spreader will not be able to wall, and actually now that I'm seeing it again, I think this might be a tight wall. Not 100% sure. It might be not the most optimal wall, but I think it is tight because it does close off a little bit. Yes, it is indeed tight. Great stuff here from Insanity Spreader, learning his walls ahead of time. Yeah, I think the probe can't get in there, so actually the 2 gate will be completely flustered by this approach. 2 gateways is generally an approach you would use in PvP and in rare occasions PvZ. The reason why you don't normally see it in wait, am I sped up right now? There we go. Let me see. Yeah, that was out of habit. I'm sorry. So the reason why you don't normally see it against Terran is exactly because of this. With Zealots attacking the wall, Marines and ranged units in general behind it, Zealots are not going to be able to do much damage, maybe force the pulling of a few SCVs, some repair minerals, but overall the tech from the Terran player is going to be much faster. And it should be noted that from what we've been told by Murmur, who is a friend of Lines Per Hour in the SSCAIT channel, is that this is the first series that Lines Per Hour has ever had against another human being, as far as I've been told. So, very interesting stuff here. I wonder if I can D&D. Yes, good. Okay. Sorry about that. Anyway, the first Nexus, kind of indicative of that fact, given the fact that it's so distant away from the gas, but things could be worse. Getting a fast Nexus and an early base lead against Protoss is a good thing. It looks like he also managed to corner that scouting SCV earlier in the game, and therefore Insanity Spreader is definitely concerned about the situation. He's adding more Marines, although it could be in service of an FD push. The factory is somewhat delayed, so it would be interesting to see how an FD push handles in the hands of a less experienced player. It is quite difficult to make a good FD push. Factory is now complete. It's going to be a Vulture first, and are we going to see a command center? Wow, okay, this is a great opening, and I really like this against 2-gate. The high Marine count, initially it looks like a bad idea, because you can obviously go for a lower Marine count and just go for faster Vultures, but if you're going for unupgraded Vultures, you know, no speed, no mines, no real chance of being overly aggressive with slow Vultures, because by this time the Cybernetics Corps should be on the way, and the Dragoons as well. The Vulture is going to run into these Zealots. The Zealots are going to give chase. This actually could end up doing damage simply because of the fact that the Cybernetics Corps has never been placed down. Blocking on the ramp may become a necessity here. Probes being pulled looks like it is for that purpose. Meanwhile, the Zealots cannot avenge themselves in any way. because of the fact, again, because of this wall. So anyway, as I was saying about the Marine count, oh, the Vulture takes quite a few hits. Let's see the the Vulture Micro. Oh, almost gets trapped there by the Cybernetics Core. Little moments. And let's see, how many pickoffs are we going to get? Vulture is injured, could get quite a bit of damage done. I would try to wall off here with one probe, build a pylon here and attack with the Zealots from the other side. That could be one way to mitigate this damage. Oh, looks like the Zealots are intentionally being spread, but the Vulture is almost trapped. No, manages to escape. Good stuff here from a Sanity Spreader, preventing the mitigation of damage. And in the meantime, Lion's Power has gone down almost 10 workers. Insanity Spreader saying, okay, that was a little bit stressful, I'm out of here. And now coming out with the Marines to try to take the expansion of his own. The Marines are not going to, the Zealots are not going to put up much of a fight against this number of Marines. Again, as I was saying earlier, normally you wouldn't want to see that many, but in this case, definitely working out in favor of the Terran player. A great micro here, pulling back the injured Marine, being able to land that command center, barracks floating forward to probably assist with the wall, and the first siege tank off of 2 factory production is out. Very nicely handled here by Insanity Spreader. Very, what's the word for it? Cogent? No, cognizant? Yeah, cognizant play. You know, reacting to the 2 gateways, having the advantage of the wall already, managing to expand quickly without much tech, and at the same time managed to do some economic damage to Lion's Power in the meantime. So, 2 Gateway Dragoons now being pumped out, though. I would like to see Mines or Siege Mode already be done here. It looks like Mines are on the way. I'm not sure if Siege Mode is done, and just as I say that, the infamous sieging sound from the Siege Tank has been heard here, and it looks like that is going to be a good position to hold. With Mines done and being placed over here, or possibly on the bridge, could be an even better position to hold here, and the injured Mine back here, injured Vulture back here, with 3 kills, will be able to contain Lion's Power for a little bit longer as well. Let's speed up here just for a little bit. This siege tank position is also really good for obvious reasons. You get to shoot from uphill to downhill. It's harder to hit it. It has a decent amount of coverage, including the flanking areas. So great stuff so far by Insanity Spreader. Very, very intelligent play. Also getting +1 behind this. The range upgrade for Lion's Power is a little bit delayed. Again, likely due to the delay of the Cybernetics Core, the number of Zealots added, and it should be noted that the added cannons as well, due to the fear of the Vultures, has delayed production as well. Only 3 gateways now. Each cannon could be thought of as a potential gateway that was not placed. So 3 gateways down, and still down 10 probes, or 10 workers rather, is Lion's Power relative to Insanity Spreader. It looks like Insanity Spreader is thinking of doing a sneaky attack. No, just laying some mines here. I would have preferred 1 mine here and then a bunch here, but no. Checks to see what the front is, loses a bunch of Vultures there. It looks like Lion's Power is aware that it's important to be cautious of mines here. Adding the observatory before moving out. In the meantime, this has given Insanity Spreader the opportunity to build up a sizable mech force, going up to 5 factories. Now, actually no, 4 factories in a starport. I like this better than 5 fac, even though a 5 fac could probably seal the deal here against 4 gateways. 4 factory push is much more economical, especially adding that Stargate to get that early science facility and get that second armory for the 2-1 upgrades. Taking a 3rd base behind this as well. Very dominant play from Insanity Spreader. I'm really liking to see this. Observer is out. Dragoons are going to start clearing up the mines. This is the position at which Terran starts to maybe panic a little bit, maybe starts to worry. I like these mines here, preventing the flanking maneuver from the Protoss player. Looks like the siege tanks are in a great defensive position, and we are getting close to that number where I think a push could be viable. Maybe add some more Vultures due to the high Zealot count of Lion's Power. And Lion's Power, despite being 14 probes down, is floating quite a lot of money. We see double queues in each gateway. Definitely needs to think about adding more. No speed yet for the Zealots either, which is going to hurt big time when it's time to start pushing. Would have liked to maybe see a shuttle as well added into it. But overall, still a very standard and very well played TVP. This base suddenly a little bit exposed due to the mines being cleared out. This is kind of what I was referring to earlier, how this position, how clearing out these mines leads to some potential panic from the Terran player. And actually a dropship with 4 Vultures looks like it's going to go all the way around to the main base potentially of Lion's Power. Lion's Power now sending Zealots and Dragoons in to fight against this position, but this choke point combined with this heavy number of siege tanks is going to help with splash damage to lower the amount of supporting units there are. So any consequent Zealot production could be dangerous, but with this sheer number of mech, I believe that this push could be doomsday. It all depends on the connections here for the mines. No, moving out a little bit too early here. If he had waited for the siege tank to be positioned on top of the mines, I feel like there could have been a chance here. But now, even unsieged, the disrespect is going to do a crazy amount of damage. But actually, no, the number of Protoss units here seems to be enough to push back the Terran player. And already a quick +1 from the Protoss player as well, hitting around the same time as the +1 from the Terran army as well. And Terran's actually on the way to +2 now with the addition of the science facility. Great play here. Both floating quite a lot of money, but that is to be expected. 3 bases still for Insanity Spreader. No third base on the horizon for Alliance Prowler, who is desperately trying to push this back, but still, again, with only 4 gateways, at this point, you want to have around 6 or 8 gateways if you are Insanity Spreader. I'm sorry, if you are Alliance Prowler, but now with no army available to him, most of it stuck in the queue here behind the low gateway count, and the factory count continuing to climb for Insanity Spreader. I think that this game is almost a done deal. I feel like there's not much that can be done here. The dropship has dropped off the vultures, by the way. I do believe that those could become influential soon as well. It's always powerful when your opponent has all of their attention on something like this position here to send in the vultures at the same time. Siege tanks in siege mode generally will take good care of them themselves, and if zealots are spreading out around you and you have no supporting units or just 2 vultures, there's not much you can do anyway. Might as well just send those vultures in at the same time. And it looks like instead the push is going to start coming in. A couple of the siege tanks do get taken down, but all the cannons have fallen as well. The Dragoon and Zealots count is still way too low to challenge this position, and the continual rallying of units very nicely down here, and GG's from Alliance Prowler, well done there. And I will confirm that despite this being game 1, Alliance Prowler did go down to Insanity Spreader in round 1. Insanity Spreader took that series as well. Moving on to our third game of the day, we're going to have Johan DJ against Yes. Yes is aka Impy from the Discord. Johan DJ, I believe, is the creator of Banana Brain, a top Protoss AI, so it's going to be interesting to see what we see here. Indeed, we see Johan DJ playing that Protoss. And don't look at the length, I'm sorry, I didn't know that that was, you could see that. And I believe this was game 3 between the 2 players here. Let me just double check that real quick for you. Yes, indeed. Game 3 between these 2 players. And spawning at the top right of Circuit Breakers, we have Gizmo, aka Yes, aka Impy, aka Java Squire, aka Spaghetti Coder, I believe. Flying Spaghetti Coder, yes. And in the bottom, spawning as the Blue Terran, by the way. No rally on the SCV, definitely want to look into fixing that. 130 APM, none of it going. Okay, there we go. And there we fixed it as well. Bottom left, we have Johan DJ as the red Protoss. And this is Circuit Breakers, a very standard map that everyone should be pretty familiar with. Looks like we're going to be starting directly with a wall off here. I'm actually not that experienced with wall offs on Circuit Breakers. I'm not sure if this is a tight one or not. I believe the correct wall off might be Barracks Factory, or it could be Barracks Depot. Although this seems like it might, yeah, no, I'm not sure about that. It looks like the SCV got through there, and SCV is usually a good measuring stick for Zealot too. If an SCV can get through, then so can a Zealot. So not quite sure about the placement here, but I guess we might find out soon, because it is going to be another 2-gate from Johan DJ at the bottom right here. I'm sorry, bottom left. So again, 2-gate in PvT, not the greatest choice, because a good wall off will pretty much stop it in its tracks, and yeah, that is clearly not tight. Maybe now, actually, that might actually work. Oh, it's a bunker. Interesting choice. And I think that's a blind bunker too. It's without being aware of the fact that it's a 2-gate. Now, the problem with this is that the 2 Zealots could run right by the bunker. It doesn't work as a depot in terms of being a walling mechanism. And the fact that this isn't, it's not tight for Marines also is concerning. Now with the second depot here, might be able to help it a little bit. I would have liked to see the Marines already in the bunker though. I don't think there's much benefit in keeping them out of there, and there they go inside. Factory being added here. It's actually 2 racks. Interesting. This could be a biomech play. Ooh, and actually a starport immediately after. This is an I don't know what this is play, which is kind of par for the course for the way that I perceive Impy to be as a StarCraft coder and player. Cybernetics core already up, and Dragoons being produced. 4s, 5 Zealots, 6 and 7 over here already out on the map as well. So this might be a tough hold. I think maybe if you place an SCV here somehow it could maybe hold off. But in the meantime, we're seeing 3 racks, 2 star, 1 factory. This is the kitchen sink build. If I saw this, I'd be like, I don't know what to make. I think Dragoons beat basically everything that's coming out right now, but could it be double bio drops with no academy? Could it be just straight up Marine Hell but with dropships? Because that's what it looks like. For those of you that don't know, Marine Hell is an AI that just builds Marines, as it might be inference here. It's actually going to be a Wraith. We're going for the pimpest plays here, as it seems, here in Babes. Just because of the fact that there have been some plays where the cloaked Wraith was utilized in order to abuse Protoss before Observer, and we definitely don't see Observers yet here. Range just now finishing up, but the presence of Dragoons is going to make an impact. Looks like cannons in panic are going to be thrown down. Notably not covering this top left side, but is preventing Wraiths from coming in. Nexus being added and 3 cannons added as well. I think that Johan DJ is understandably confused about the situation here, as we're going up to 3 starports off of 1 base with 3 racks. I don't know what to make of this. This is absolutely insane, and it should be noted that Impy is keeping up better with the economy as well behind this. 24 SCVs to 19. Possibly some panic here for Johan DJ. 1 second. Alright, we're back in business. More Wraiths now stacking up. Stacked Wraiths can operate the same way as a stacked Mutalisk Cloud, but you definitely don't want to run in past these cannons. Robotics is down, still no Observatory though. Oh, Cloaked. Yes, Cloaked and behind the middle line. Very nicely done. This is interesting stuff here. This is something that I never thought I would see, and some probes might go down here as well. This mineral line isn't supported as well. And keep in mind, of course, that Gizmo is already 10 workers ahead of the Protoss, and I did not think that this would play a factor, the fact that this area is uncovered, but the cloaking has run out on the Wraiths. The Wraiths are famously known as the paper planes of Brood War. They can't take that many hits from either cannons or Dragoons before going down, and it should also be noted that 3-star production kind of limits your options for ground army in order to take your natural. The economic production from Johan DJ should be higher at this point, and with the first Observer out, it's questionable how long this could be effective for. Definitely don't want to go for the robotics at this point. There's already 2 Observers out. Oh, there is a scanner actually for the Terran player. Looks like going back to the mirror line here as well. The probes are going to get picked off. This is going to be another great pickoff for Gizmo here, but with no economic progress of his own, I'm not sure how far we can get ahead in this situation. Marines are being produced in significant number. The command center is coming up. This could actually be enough to potentially move out and take this natural here very shortly, especially with the support of the Wraiths. But the Dragoon count has grown quite tremendously here. Quite a number of army, 40 supply worth of army, in fact, for the Protoss player. Factory floating idly over to the side. No medics being made. I know that there's an academy still. Oh, range first. Oh my goodness. What are we seeing here? This is... This is some stuff. This is something I never expected to see. Great reaction here from Gizmo, but you do want to repair those Wraiths. You can't afford to lose them. I like the fact that he forced all the Dragoons back into the main base before taking the natural. That could have been a genius level play, honestly. The Dragoons are going to take some time to migrate from this to here to out the cannons and so on and so forth. First SCVs coming out. They're going to pull the attention of the Zealots. The Zealots are going to be forced back by this Marine ball and the Wraiths, and actually are going to fall into their deaths. The power of the bio, the pure Marine forces with the Vulture and the Wraiths. Honestly speaking, if there was like 4 or 5 medics here, this could, I think, bust this easily. And if you flew in some Wraiths behind the mineral line here at the same time, could be a money play. But unfortunately, we don't seem to have stim yet. We definitely don't have medics. The factory is still floating around doing stuff. No additional workers for Gizmo, unfortunately. You kind of want to anticipate the fact that you're going to expand by adding workers preemptively. In the meantime, Johan DJ taking a hidden base at the top right. Is going to place some cannons here defensively, but again, notably not blocking the entirety of the mineral line. I would definitely have liked to see some cannons here, here, and here, more likely than anything. Looks like some of the Wraiths are going to get caught out of position, and there's an Observer here to catch the cloak. A couple of Wraiths did go down there. Still more Marines, but there are some medics out on the map now as well. With significant numbers, it is viable to push this back. Even a pure Dragoon cannon position is not going to have a great amount of surface area, especially with 3 cannons here like this. So with consistent production and consistent numbers, it is quite possible for Gizmo to bust this position, but the clock is kind of ticking. The economy is just falling behind the 3 bases of Johann DJ. Johann DJ, I think it's quite clear what influences came from Banana Brain, because I think Banana Brain is the AI that I've noticed is always placing 2 cannons in specific positions at each base. The human player obviously needing 3 cannons due to the fact that he doesn't have a kind of a billion APM, I think. So definitely some Banana Brain vibes here. First group of Marine Medic is going to come out. Keep in mind that it is a lot harder to control Marine Medic than it is Dragoons, especially. I'm guessing that stim must be done already, and we're getting lockdown. Are you kidding me? All the pimp points go to Gizmo in this series. I don't care who wins this at this point, but the pimp points are there. Lockdown will, in this case, in theory, help against the Dragoons to some extent. It takes a while to build up that energy. Ghosts are incredibly expensive. They take a while to build in. In fact, there's none out on the map yet. Production is constant. Army is kind of spread out everywhere. And the Dragoon count is actually quite significant now. Both players at equal supply, but that means that there's a lot of bio as well. And in the meantime, it looks like as Gizmo is taking the 3rd base here, Johann DJ taking the top left at the same time, and it's time to move in. It looks like Marines are coming in a little bit before the medics and not in the best of angles. They actually got caught on the bridge here by the Dragoons. Let's take a look at how this pans out. The Dragoons are coming in. The Marines are coming in piecemeal. It looks like it's drag, stim, and move, but there are starting to make progress now that the medics are here. This could lead to some damage. The cloaked Wraiths are not going to contribute much, especially with the presence of observers here. Some target firing from Johann DJ is still outside the range of the cannons, notably. The cannons could have been a big help here. They do twice the amount of damage that Dragoons do to bio, and the Dragoon count is actually dropping quite precipitously. This is very interesting stuff here. And 3 cannons is not going to be enough to hold the tide, but is there macro behind this? Yes, there are more units being produced here. There is more being sent. Very nicely done here by Yes, aka Gizmo, aka Impy here. And the Dragoons on rally are walking past the Dragoons, and walking past the Marine Medic, and the Marine Medic have busted through almost unexpectedly so. They're going to be able to start picking off workers here. There's so many Dragoons trapped back here as well. I guess they were here positioned here defensively against the race, but smart positioning here from Johann DJ, taking up that cliff as well, though. Probes are now running back. The Nexus was sniped first. I think it would actually have made sense to snipe the probes more than the Nexus. It takes more time to rebuild probes than it does to rebuild the Nexus on average, but probes are still going to go down, and the reinforcements are pretty constant. I'm not sure that Gizmo is aware of the positioning of these expansions. If he was, then maybe I wouldn't see that confident swag depot placed in the natural, delaying the placement of the Nexus even further. This is some excellent stuff from these 2 players here. I'm really, really happy that I hosted this tournament just so I could see something like this. And if I'm not mistaken, it's Impy's bot that starts building buildings a little bit far forward as well. We see double engineering bay being placed forward. Should be noted that there's been no turrets or anything of any kind so far, but that's because it's not really needed at this point against the Protoss player. Protoss player mined out of his main base, actually. These 2 bases are the only thing that's keeping him afloat, and the economy as a result has pretty much evened out. I mean, there are like 12 probes here, if not more. So that means the operational economy is probably better for the Terran player at this point. So it could go either way. Wraiths are still continuing to be produced from 3 starports just to be annoying, perhaps. The presence of cannons is going to mitigate the amount of damage possible. And wow, okay, we have neighbors here at the top right. Gateways have been remade at this base. Very good call from Johann DJ. Definitely need to start remaking those gateways if you suspect that you might lose them. But on top, perhaps more than anything, you also want to make sure that you have 2 sides to flank from production. And in general, more gateways at this point in the game is good also, even if you are on only 2 mineral lines. Wraith's trying to be annoying here, but unfortunately the observers are already in place, and so are the Dragoons. And The push has fizzled out for Gizmo, but I think that this is still doable. It's just a question of when will he realize that these bases are operational right now. There's a lot of workers up here, and this one in particular is very poorly defended. An attack there instead of here could do a significant amount of damage. Bio upgrade is just now coming in. This is going to work fantastic against the Protoss player if it wasn't at +2 already. Excuse me. And is this actually... No, it's not +2. Alright. So... pushing in again, taking down so many Dragoons. This is absolute madness. I mean, we do see the Templar archives here, and we do see a huge gas bank for Johann Dijubay, but no storm being made. I guess taking the Stardust approach of just Dragoon muscling past all of this. These Marines are important to be here. The medics are here without support. There's not enough of them, I think. There's not enough DPS from the Marines. Now going to re-engage, now going to be able to push in. But the Dragoons from the top right, they managed to take out this base. They're going to take out this base, and this is an important base. There's not much left for Gizmo, and it's going to be a lot harder to engage here without the main force. A Marine medic worked best on a ball against Protoss units like this, so even though there might be some victories here, the question has to be asked by by Gizmo is where did that army come from? And I think now is the time to go investigate where these positions could be. So many barracks. Now we're up to, I think, 8 barracks total. Another big engagement here. These Dragoons will go down, but the question is, will Impy find that base at the top right? There are quite a number of cannons here. There is going to be reinforcements from the back. These cannons are going to go... Dragoons, I'm sorry, are going to go down. This is an insane game. This is one of the craziest games of Brood War I've seen in a minute. Just so... You wouldn't be able to prepare for this. And people were requesting that I do broadcasts and that I share replays throughout the tournament. There were some requests that I don't do that. And I'm not saying that it was because of requests made by Gizmo. I'm not going to say who said it, but I can see now why why it might have been better not to share, because this is stuff that if once you prepare for it, you know a little bit better. But in this situation, I think that the tournament is richer for no one being able to prepare for stuff like this. This is an absolute blast watching this right here. The Marines are going to try to engage, but there's a lot of cannons. As I mentioned before, the cannons do twice as much damage as Dragoons do against Marine Medic, and I think that, yeah, Impy is going to GG out here. Very nicely done. Good stuff. And I don't know what to say. That was an amazing game to watch. Alright, it's time for the last game of the day of this round that I will be casting. It's going to be Game 4 between Krazio and MicroDK, the creator behind Microwave. And it is also, I believe, Game 3 from their series. Yes, indeed. It's going to also be on Circuit Breakers with Microwave playing Zerg and Krazio playing Protoss. So Krazio, perhaps best known for their Terran. Their Protoss also appears in competitions. We saw it most recently in the most recent SSCAIT tournament. Microwave best known for their Zerg, sending one drone at a time, calm, cool, calm, and collected, spawning as the orange Zerg at the top left of Circuit Breakers here, and in the deep blue we have Krazio spawning at the top right here as the deep blue Protoss. Immediately placing down a pylon on the ramp going up to the natural, and I'm sorry, I just had to make sure that the speed was right. So again, an atypical start already. Normally you would see a pylon here, forge, gateway, cannons, you know, the usual. But one thing that I've noticed from Krazio P is that it tends to place very conservative cannons as well when it plays against Zerg. But opening with a gateway this time, possibly going to go into Zealots, or maybe just getting some Zealots in order to block off the ramp. Looks like it was overpool here for MicroDK. 3 drones spawning, not yet going to the mineral line. Stuff happens, I get it. 2 pylons before a second gateway. That's an interesting choice. You don't really need it, as evidenced here by the fact that there was some idle time here and there. Maybe going into gas, interesting choice. So maybe the one gateway is intentional. One base tech is an interesting choice. The probe could have seen this drone trying to take this natural. Is going to be aware of the presence of Zerglings now, for sure. Overlord is going to come in and scout and most likely see this tech. This is part of what makes teching as Protoss difficult, is the fact that there is that presence of Overlords that can double check what is going on, although sometimes it does lead to the loss of your first Overlord to a Dragoon or your second Overlord. Probe is going to run all the way back home, is going to clue in Microwave as to the location of the Protoss player, but because of the Zealot wall here, is going to be able to defend, and good reaction time from Microwave there, pulling back immediately. Behind this, we're going to see a Stargate. This is probably one of my favorite builds in all of Brood War. The late gas mining contributed to the fact that we're not going to see a robotics behind this, and maybe we'll see a Citadel. I like to go Robo Stargate, and I like to add a Dragoon as well. The Dragoon, instead of the 4th Zealot, is something that helps prevent this Overlord from scouting the main base, and then behind that you can do whatever you want. The Zerg's kind of scared. Most Zergs are not very good at handling one base techs up until a certain level, at which point they realize that Hydralisks beat everything. But, whoa, look at the bank on Microwave here. 900 minerals floating, is definitely supply blocked by the Overlords. Is going to spot that Stargate though. 1 second. Sorry about that, had to cough. Anyway, Zerglings continue to poke up and down here just to see what's going on. Maybe they did see, let's see if they saw that cannon. They should be able to see it soon with the Overlord, but the Overlord, oh no, the Overlord's all the way over here. The Dragoon is out, but the Overlord has already seen all it knows about the Stargate. Cannons may be a little bit premature, and maybe the Sunken's premature as well. Definitely a very high Zergling count here from Microwave. Krazio continuing to pummel that Overlord and is going to be able to take it down. SSCAIT now out on the way is going to be able to scout the situation in Microwave's base, and Microwave even further behind in the supply. 14 out of 10 supply, 1,000 minerals, is going to start trying to pop some Overlords here, but doesn't have any gas income to make any anti-air, doesn't have an evolution chamber to make these spore colonies to stop the aggression from the Corsair. So Krazio in quite a good spot here, is going to be able to take the natural base quite safely. The Zergling count not high enough to challenge this number of Zealots and Dragoons. Could be annoying with a run-in, but with the presence of cannons as well, of course, not going to be that much of a factor. +1 on the way. It seems to be just a Stargate no tech, which is an interesting choice, but a good reaction potentially. And I like this ramp block from Krazio as well. Is going to be able to pick off all of the Zerglings with no losses. Great pullback there. Micro DK saying, well, suicide, and that was that was basically what happened there. Hydralisk Den is now up. Lots of money in the bank. I would have liked to see some additional hatcheries been placed earlier on in the game. Looks like we have an advancing line of Sunkens here. I'm not sure if 4 Zealots Dragoons are going to be able to come in and... he was looking for Overlords but couldn't find any, and part of the reason why is because Micro DK didn't have any Overlords. That's funny. So yeah, with 4 Zealots and 2 Dragoons, I don't think you'll be able to bust 4 Sunks and 5 Lings. But the SSCAIT is going to continue being annoying. He's not going to find any more Overlords. This is a very well positioned Overlord here. Hydralisks probably should focus on taking this down though. There is one Overlord here, need more. This SSCAIT is under attack now. The SSCAIT is coming back from the backside. 3rd base now on the way for Krazio, has been thrown down there. Sneaky, taking the other main. Great position, as Grandmaster Day 9 has said, when you are ahead, get more ahead, and we're seeing that here. Probably going up for the eco approach. Hopefully he's going to start adding gateways at some point soon. We do see the Citadel is already up. Templar Archives on the way, waiting for that to get the +2 presumably. With additional Templar production and getting robotics as well, just I guess maybe in anticipation of of needing observers to challenge the lurkers, but no lurkers quite yet, still on layer tech. Not floating as much money anymore, and that's partially due to the lower economy. 11 drones against 51 workers. Krazio might have the strongest eco we've seen so far, or one thereof. Hydralisk messing up a little bit on the engagement here, trying to chase down this one Zealot, and look at that micro from Krazio. He managed to pull the Hydras into an awkward position. No aim move for Microwave there, and manages to, and oh, poor Microwave. He sees the base, I think, but he doesn't see it, if you know what I mean. Hydralisks are being pumped out, but still 12 workers is definitely not enough to support a 3-hatch Hydra production. Meanwhile, with 55 workers, I feel that Krazio is in a comfortable lead at this point, and adding gateways on the sides here could add a couple more. There's not a great Sim City here, and I'm starting to catch vibes from AI building placement here, where there's seemingly almost a random distribution of buildings that also limits the production space available. And by the way, I'm sorry if I'm coming off as harsh against all of you. I knew that you guys, a lot of you don't play that much Brood War, so I'm just talking about the game and trying to point out the things that I find interesting or unique or funny. So I don't mean to be offensive. Not everyone is an idiot like me who spent, hundreds of thousands of hours or thousands of hours playing Brood War, but not being that great at it. So I would much rather be you guys who are worse at Brood War but better at coding than me. That being said, though, Crazio did beat me in a straight up legit 1v1 very recently. So I'm just not that great. Maybe I mean Crazio can do it all. He can make the bots and he can win the 1v1. 67 pros, that is basically the optimal count that you would want in this matchup. Maybe a couple more, but at most, that's it. Scouting around, trying to find out if Micro has any additional bases, and at this point, this army should be enough to take down this natural. I don't see Microwave being along for this world at this point. 2 attack upgrades, 1 armor, +3, +2 coming in. Observer speed coming in, and just now it looks like, I think that's Hydralisk range just now coming in. And the Hydralisks are on ignore everything move to the bottom right base, having finally found out that there is one there. Another one coming up in the meantime, though, and the cannon and the poor Hydras are going to get caught out here. Dark Templar now in the mix as well. The Hydras are continuing to go out. Crazio calling it out. Micro DK not caring. Suicide Hydras. Micro saying, "I want to see that base." This is why I love this community and this tournament. I think Micro said that to Crazio just to be like, "All right, come and kill me, man." Like, and sneakily is taking the third base right after saying he's only on 2 bases. So either way, I think this game is basically over. Storming the drones because there's lack of army to storm. The storms could have been better. Actually, could have just blanketed it. Micro realizing just now, I think the amount of army that Crazio has, definitely a surprising count here. And yeah, I think this is going to be Micro DK's loss here in the series. Third game on Circuit Breaker, and that's GG. Even though the third base has finally been placed, that is going to be the end. And that's going to be the end of our broadcast as well. Thank you all for tuning in. We will be back later on this week, and I'm going to try to cast round 2, where we will see the seeded players who were Nightcat, Antigua Irion, who is the favorite to win it all, Purple Wave Jadian, aka the creator of Purple Wave, and Gathers. All of those players were seeded automatically by random into round 2, and we're going to be seeing those games most likely on Thursday. That is my expectation. I will post a link in the description and in the chat when I'm done. But in the meantime, thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed the broadcast, and I hope to see you guys again for the next SSCAIT Babes broadcast. Take care, y'all.